In this video, we're going to show how to use Busroot to track the production rate of a manufacturing workstation and compare the performance of that workstation against a cycle time that is specific to the part that we're working on. These show and tell videos assume no prerequisites other than access to a Busroot account, which you can get at Output.industries website, and an ability to generate data to use in this. Now, that can be an industrial IoT device or a connected PLC, or it can be something like Node-RED, which is what we're going to use in our example now. So the first step is to create a station and a station group. So I'm going to go ahead and create that station group now. I'm going to give it a very basic name. Let's just call it a group. That's going to ensure that it sits at the top of our list whilst we're doing this. And I'm going to give it the same name, a group. The only extra thing we need to do here is make sure it's assigned to the plant from the demo account and the shift pattern. That just is going to make sure it displays correctly and that the workstation is considered to be in shift. There it is at the top of our list. So going now into adding the station. So again, add new. I'm going to call it workstation A. So again, as a kind of placeholder name. Again, I'll name it placeholder A, and then the only extra bit we need to do here is make sure it's assigned to that group that we just created earlier. And save that. Now, if we look at the cockpit, you can see our workstation there sat at the top of the list. It has no schedule, which is to be expected because we haven't created one yet. But I'm just going to move now over to Node-RED. We're going to now start creating this data that we need to run our example here. So I'm going to start by creating a new device that's going to give us some credentials that we can use to connect to the MQTT broker. I'm going to drag in an MQTT out node. I'm going to configure that broker. I'm just going to copy these details over. These details will be different depending on your account, but we can copy over the host name. The port is the standard port, so we don't need to change that. You can see there that the client ID and the username are always the device ID, and then the access token is the MQTT password. We pass that in there. We're missing a topic now. So again, the topic format here, you can see Busroot v1, the end of the account number, and then we put in the workstation code at the end of the topic there. That's how Busroot knows that the signals that we're passing in are for this workstation. So there you go, that's connected. So that can just sit there for the moment. We're now going to drag in a template node. And we're going to set this to use JSON. We call it Busroot payload. It's going to take the example from here. The only important line here is the production complete value there. That's just telling each time that payload is submitted that Busroot should consider 1 unit of production to be completed. That's what we're doing there. The other ones are just example numbers that we've got in here at the moment that we won't necessarily use, but that's the important number. Okay, so now that's done. Just connect that through to the MQTT, and you now drop in a node for a timestamp. This is to allow us to continually send this payload through to Busroot. So I'm going to set this to 12 seconds. I'll come on to why I'm setting that to 12 seconds in a minute. I'm going to give it a name every 12 seconds, connect that up, and that's basically done. So now we are sending this payload that says 1 unit has been completed every 12 seconds into Busroot. So the next job is to set up the SKU that we're going to be working on. So similar to both the station group and the station, we're going to come in here, going to create a new SKU. Just going to call it something generic again, like widget 1, call it widget 1 there. And then the important part here is we give it a cycle time. So I'm going to give it a cycle time of 10 seconds. I'll come on to why I'm using 10 seconds in a minute, but that's now set. So we have a widget 1 SKU set with a target cycle time of 10 seconds. You see Node-RED is submitting that data every 12 seconds, and we'll see the effect that has in a minute. So now to tie all of this together, we need to create a production schedule. So we don't have a schedule at the moment that's doing that. So let's have a look at workstation A, and you can see that there's no schedules there. So let's add a production schedule. We're going to select the workstation we created. We're going to select the SKU. We're going to give it a work order reference. It's going to call it video demo, just to a way to tie that together. I'm going to set the start time to be 5 minutes in the past, and again I'll show what effect that has. We're going to have it start exactly at that start time rather than waiting for the operator to start it. We've given it a quantity there of 100 just for something to show. Again, if we just look at our production schedule list, workstation A, see we now have a running schedule, workstation A, which we created, widget 1, the reference, and 11 have been produced because we've already started node red, so it makes sense that we've got 11 already running here. Now, if we look back at the cockpit, you can see we have those 11 running. We're 28 behind, which again makes sense because we started this schedule late. We started putting data in behind where the schedule was, and we can visualize that in the trend viewer. So if we look at the trend viewer here, go down to workstation A, we can see that over the last hour, you see that we started the schedule late. We started putting data into the system late. Really in the demo, it's because we started the schedule 5 minutes retrospectively, but we have now able to visualize that late start, and we can also visualize the underperformance in that. If we do production by work order reference, again, we can see for the work order reference that we set, which was video demo, we have one SKU, which is the widget 1 that we created. And so far we've created 31 of those units. So again, it's another way of being able to see the exact number of units produced versus that work order reference.